All right. Welcome back to our Marketing Ops AMA. I am here with my lovely co host, Alysha. Alysha, what are we talking about this week?
All right. So last week, Brandon, we had multiple clients that needed to get some campaigns and built out the door in basically record time, right? They came to us on Monday and they're like, "Peeps, we need this launched by Friday." So I think you and I have a lot of like tips and tricks in our bags to make sure we get stuff out the door both quickly but also like cleanly and not destroying everything. So I wanted to hear what your like favorite tricks are when you need to move fast and move fast well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to acknowledge that, as a marketing ops practitioner, most of the people I know are very structured and organized, and they like to move at a normal pace, right? I don't like to rush things. I want to make sure you get it right. I get it. I get it. Um, I think sometimes though, you have to relax that a little bit because of the constraints you just brought up, and I think you need to do this sort of like prioritization effort in your head. So,
Mm-hmm.
so do you need a you just joined a company and there's one marketer, and do you need a sprint process? No, probably not. Right? Do you need points and all of these formalities that a really huge company has? No, probably not. So I think it's thinking about what is the minimum level of structure needed to
Mm-hmm.
achieve what you're trying to do, and sort of revisiting that as the team grows. I
Yeah.
think that's like the main thing for me. And it's also being really clear on like what has to be done on the date
Yes.
versus what can go over, right?
Yes.
So if you're
Yes.
doing a website launch, okay, well, the Marketo forms or HubSpot forms or whatever, those have to work on or before that date. Hopefully a day before that date. Right? That's
Yes.
an example. But maybe some other type of tracking or whatnot, maybe it could go past that date just a little
Mm.
bit. So you don't have to focus on that as so much so compared to the forms work. And so
What you just said about keeping things in your head is the exact opposite of what I tell people to do because that stuff cannot stay in your head. Like,
mm,
I am a big believer, and especially when you're moving fast, in writing every single little task down. Because I feel like when teams are moving fast, it's like the small key details that like fly out of people's brains. Like, I still remember this one nurture launch where everything was ready, but in Marketo, somebody forgot. Like, all of us apparently just completely forgot to actually turn the program on. Like, smart
I've been
campaigns
there,
were on.
been
Yeah,
there,
the
I've
stream
been
was scheduled, and everybody's like, why aren't the emails going out?" And then I was like, "Oh, we didn't turn it on." Like,
there. Mm.
so I've gotten really good about making lists and making sure it accounts for all of the little things, to make sure we actually hit those. And then to your point about the V1s, I get really aggressive about that because I'd rather commit to like a few small things that we know for sure are going to work really well in the timeline we have. And and even if that means like I also really want like the marketing teams that I work with, I'm like, what is the best user experience we can also deliver, right? Like I think a lot of times marketing teams have like these really grand visions for their launches and I'm like, no, let's narrow this
Mhm.
sucker down.
Scope it down, yeah.
Scope it down. Scope it all the way down to what can we actually legitimately make a good experience. Because I think when there's too much weirdness or like sloppy experiences, that's also a bad brand experience, not just like a bad for your tech stack. It's like bad for your experience for the people who hopefully you want them to give you your money
Yes.
for that.
Yep.
I think then just my other question for you is like, what are your favorite like QA best practices when you're on a tight deadline like this and you're trying to like make sure you're double checking your work correctly?
Yeah. I mean, I will talk about the tools because that's pretty quick. So there's things out there like Stack Moxie, Litmus. So if you're doing a website launch and you happen to be blessed with Stack Moxie, they have a tool where you could just run your it kind of generates a sitemap, but along
Mm,
with the sitemap, it'll generate which like, were there forms that were able to load on that page
Ooh.
in the sitemap? So you can see on a per page level, okay, did the form load or not, or whatever the case
Mhm.
is. And then you could do smoke testing, which is
Yeah.
separate, which is pretty awesome. Outside of that, I mean, last week we talked about AI. You know me, I like to automate things. So if you don't have a budget for that, you can try to automate, we're talking about a website launch or whatever the case is. Maybe you can do some automation here or there to like see if all of the pages load. That's one thing that people miss is
Mhm.
not only all the pages load, but do some of them 404, are the redirects right? Is a copyright? So
Mhm.
so automate as much as you can, right?
Mhm.
And I think double check, triple check the things that you don't want to leave to a machine.
Yes.
That would be my thought process there.
I think my other favorite tip from there is I also like to do it as a group of like doing like a QA session, like a working session. Like everybody look at the exact same thing and
Mhm.
we all sign off on it together. And maybe this is just like the paranoid consultant in me, but I feel better than if we do miss something, like we all missed it. It wasn't just me. Like all five of us didn't.
Oh my goodness.
So like the cover your butt element is A plus there because if we
Mhm.
all test and we all agreed on it and there was still something slightly wrong, like it got through multiple people and I think it just lands a little bit better. But also like having more people in the room, you also catch more things. And I also like to make sure there's at least one person looking at everything who is sort of like net new to the whole process. Um, who is like truly a clean set of eyes because they are the person most likely to catch something and making sure that we have like that person designated, they're involved in the QA process, and then you just like work on it together when you schedule it.
And my other like tip I've learned the hard way, or I've learned through experience rather, is that people who come from like a journalism background or like an editorial background, man, they don't miss anything. Nothing.
I
Nothing at
undergrad
all.
journalism, master's journalism, like I see it all.
And y'all, woo, goodness.
I think part of it is when you're in journalism school, your teachers will fail you for all sorts of things. Like I remember I got an F on an article once because I think the preposition I used, it was unclear who had committed a crime. And they're like, Alysha, you are technically perjuring somebody because your prepositions and pronouns were unclear in this. So I got an F on the assignment.
Whoa,
So you
dang.
learn real quick to be very precise
Woo.
about the work that you do. Obviously, clearly, still sits with me.
Well, with Martech, we not killing people. We're
We're
just
not killing people. We're also not like,
yeah, like
we're not like publishing murder accusations to like
right.
100,000 subscribers. Like, we're not really doing that, but that's kind of why they drill it into you. So,
Okay, it's good
all right.
content.
So, I think, folks, that's a great place to wrap this week. Don't go save your tech stacks, be precise,
Be
do it
careful what prepositions you use.
with your prepositions in case you accuse somebody of murder.
Right.
And we'll see you next week then. All right. Bye.